Sean, you had read the salutation, and the only one comment that really we made during the whole salutation was kind of like separated unto God, to the gospel. And the people that are into this are literally separated not only from the world, but also separated within the works of the church. Like, if you follow what Paul is saying, you're going to find yourself at odds with church folks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's sad, but the teachings of Paul crush the flesh and really make it tough for a person that's living in any type of self-righteousness or whatever to get through it and listen to what he says.
Because they don't know what being set apart is. They think that it's of the outward actions and stuff like that, like not going to baseball games, or, as I posted earlier, no sugar in your tea. They don't understand that being set apart is walking in the Spirit, which is not doing everything perfect 100% of the time, like sinless perfection, as good as that might sound in the wisdom of man, but it's not faith in yourself, but it's faith that God did it and will do it. And I think Brother James said something like that last week. You know, God will use us in miraculous ways that we didn't set ourselves up into. So,
You know, I had made the comment one time when I was explaining Juniper Tree and Beyond in my thought process was those things that happened to Elijah after he left the juniper tree, which God spoke to him and then told him what to go and do. He went out, and a lot of times people may have the idea, well, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. But then we have to listen to that still small voice, and we may find ourselves doing something we never imagined.
right.
And that would be, you had mentioned, you know, I got this guy going over here, I got this guy going over here, and they're both doing my will. They may not look and do the same, but they're both following me because I'm talking to this man and I'm talking to this
man. None of the persons that we read about in the scripture started off doing what they wound up doing. Moses had no clue that he was going to be a form of a deliverer. That was not his purpose. He just wanted to get along and help his fellow countrymen. But God had a totally different job for him to perform. Even when he was asked to do certain things, he made excuses as to, I can't do that. I can't even talk correctly. I don't know how to present myself to persons of higher calling. So he called on Aaron to do so. Aaron had no idea that that's what's going to, his role was going to be. That he was going to be the spokesperson and deliver the messages that Moses was given from God to do. And that's basically in all instances that we deal with. God, we set out to do one thing, God has something else for us to do. And he prepares us for those things.
Abraham, having heard the promise from God, went out and created Ishmael.
Right.
And then when God provided Isaac, he was, well, can you please just
do something
bless Ishmael?
That's just how far we are away from what God's intent is. And like we consider to that still small voice, that's what we have to listen to. Not that we need to be able to tell God how to use us, but God will put us he'll put us in the places where he needs us the most.
Yeah. That's it. So separate unto the gospel. And Paul, he's the guy that wrote this, a good example. He's a 180-degree turn here. He's now teaching what he persecuted.
Right.
He tried to kick against the pricks and he wasn't allowed to. You can't kick these pricks.